Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Sinead Washington, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. Hi, welcome to HBCU Her Voice. I am your fabulous host, Sinead Washington, and I am based in the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. And today, we bring to you another amazing guest from our HBCU tribe. This is the place where we highlight powerful stories and voices and really bring the spotlight unscripted to our community. So without further ado, we're going to bring in our first guest, and she's going to tell you her name, where she's from, which HBCU she's repping, and just let her tell her story. Here we go.
Hello. My name is Seante Hatcher. I'm currently in Baltimore, Maryland, but I have to give shout out to Rochester, New York. That's where I was raised. I am repping Wilberforce University. It's the nation's oldest private university, owned and operated by Black folk. So that is who I'm repping. My story might be a little bit different than some. Wilberforce chose me. They came after me. I was actually signed up ready to go to a JUCO, a junior college, and Wilberforce reached out to me and was like, hey, have you thought about going to a 4-year? And I had, but the school I wanted to go to, I didn't get into. And Wilberforce was actually the thing that I needed. I didn't even know what I needed at 18 or 17. I didn't know what I needed. But when I got to Wilberforce campus, and just like anyone else, when you go to a HBCU, you are connected to your people. You feel empowered to see a yard full of your people, and you're safe. And that's what Wilberforce was for me. It was actually a second chance for me because I left high school with a 2.9 and I graduated from Wilberforce summa cum laude and was able to go on and get my master's degree and now in a PhD program. And I'm focusing on financial social work and have a business now, Wealth Esteem. I've also been in academia for a long time as an assistant dean at a school of social work here in Maryland. And so I say I give all this to Wilberforce University because when all those other schools wasn't trying to give a girl a chance, Wilberforce came in and said, you know what, we see something in you. We're going to give you a chance. And because of that, I give back, because we all need to give back to our HBCUs. And I give them the credit before I rep any other university, because I didn't even tell you where else I went. But before I rep any other university, I give all credit to my HBCU. So that is my story.
Okay, now Shantae, you already started off with the gems and the gold because they're giving back to HBCUs is so important. I am in a transitional period of my life where that has just kind of just fell in my lap. And I was just saying to myself, you have to, lead by example. You have to be the one that's going to pour in, because when you were there, and mine is Houston-Tillotson University in Austin, Texas, when you were there, you had a community that poured into you unselfishly. And I can never replicate that. So it's so important that you said that. But Shantae, I have to ask you this, because when I was reading your information, I will read around. I don't have you fill out the form for no reason.
That's right.
You said something that was real good. And I want you to talk about this. Okay. You said that we have to be a good steward of what we have. And that's so important. So I want you to elaborate on that. Tell us what you mean by that and really give some good insights as to why that's so important.
So when I was talking about that, I was talking about wealth esteem, where we help people feel good about the money that they have. And I think so many times when I start to work with people, they're so ready to invest and how to make money grow. And the first question I ask is, do you have a budget and are you following it? Because if you're not being a good steward over the money that you currently have, you are making sure that you're paying bills, that you're not owing a whole bunch of people before you start to try to invest in Bitcoin, and you're out here trying to buy properties and all this stuff, but you have a whole host of debt. You owe all these creditors. And so that's what I meant by being a good steward over what we have now and making sure that that's working for us and that we're making sure we're working it. That's what I meant by that.
That is so good. And thankfully, I would like to think with my upbringing, whatever, I was raised by 1940s kids. They're 80 and 77 respectively. And they were always huge advocates of making sure that you're a good steward. They always told me, how are you going to be trusted with more if you can't manage what you already have? So I always try best to be a good steward. And that's so important. Another thing is, when you have the knowledge, you're the person in the family or in the group that has the financial resources or the education. Sometimes it's that guilt and shame that tries to
You speaking
trickle.
my language.
It's that thing like where they think that you the ATM or they think that you have it. So I want you to talk about your experience with sometimes feeling like that lone ranger when it comes to having the knowledge and perhaps the resources.
I call those people the first generational wealth builders in the family. Sometimes you might have had someone before you that was also that person, but a lot of times you are the first person. And this is how Wealth Esteem came about, because in 2016, I found myself in my first home with siblings living with me, a parent living with me. I had co-signed on siblings' student loans, and I was resentful of it all. And for a long time, I had to do the work to figure out, like, I created this situation with a whole bunch of yeses when I should have been saying no to a lot of family members. And that realizing that it was me empowered me to then learn how to say no and stop blaming them for asking me for money, because you can't control what other people are going to do. If people are in a bad situation, they're going to continue to ask for things, and that's not their fault. But what is my responsibility is, again, to make sure I'm a good steward over the money that I have, that I have a program called Saving the Seed. And what that means is that we're not eating the seed that's going to grow. And so when a seed grows like an apple tree, you want to eat the fruit. You don't want to eat the seed. If you eat the seed, you won't get to the fruit. And so the ideal is being that good steward, taking care of the seed. So as the money continues to grow, then I can give back, and I can also help my family help themselves, instead of being the person always trying to pull them out of situations that maybe they created for themselves. But we also know there's systemic things that create these situations for our people.
And that is so good because that education is really going to be that freedom, right? Many of us are not, I would say graced to have that information. So what you're doing is really transformative. So when I think about like wealth esteem, or when you think about wealth esteem,
Yeah.
what do you envision that transformative piece to be for your clients and the people you help? Can you kind of take us through that journey of not, don't give them all to go, but y'all need to go and
Yeah.
check out the website. But we
Come
need
on.
to have an overview really of what that is and really talk about that transformation that you want to envision or bring out through your services.
Yeah, so I work with people mainly in four different areas. I think it shows up with the way our responses to money, because money is just really an energy or a tool that we use in society. And so one of the things, it depends on where you fall in the four. So one, I use the four types of trauma responses, and everybody's heard of fight, flight, freeze, and the last one is fawning. And that's what we were talking about, that person in the family who gives and gives and gives. when we're talking about trauma responses, we're taught that's called fawning, that person that's a people pleaser. And so when I'm working with those people, I am trying to help them establish boundaries and learning how to say no to family members, and not always saying no, but helping them choose when to say yes and when to say no. If you're in fight, those are my hustlers that's out here that they got a whole bunch of streams of income doing a lot of different things. And I'm helping them figure out how to say yes to the right things, how to say no to the things that's just labor intensive, that's not really moving them towards their goal, and helping them to take a pause and making sure they're getting what they're supposed to get from those situations, but not running themselves thin. If you're in flight, those are the people that aren't focused on budgeting. They're running from their problems. Those are the people that's getting those red slips in the mail, those pink slips saying that they're overdue and they owe a lot of people. And I'm helping them learn how to take control of their money. They have some skills, they can do it. And I'm giving them the confidence that they can take care of their money and coming up with a plan on how to do that. And the last one is freeze. A lot of those people that are in freeze were the people who hustle to make a lot of money, and now they have a lot of money sitting in their bank account, and now they just like to see that number. Probably every morning they're checking the bank account like, yeah, I like that round number. But now money sitting in a bank account is not working for you. So how do you get out there and you invest in things that's going to help your money make money for you? Because that's what we want to get to, that residual money. And so those different places, wherever you fall, I can help you get to the right place where you feel good about your money. You build your wealth esteem.
Oh, that is beautiful. And you kind of spoke to me a little bit when you said those people that's out there hustling, just trying to get it in where they can, because I'm fairly new to the space. I mean, I left corporate in 2021.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I've built that, but then, it's like, oh, this hunch, because you're leaving this cushy type salary, but I got to get this because I got to see this amount of money. And I was just telling, one of my mentors, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like in 2023, I was successful in terms of getting things done and trying a different market. But then this stuff drained me so much. I didn't put enough energy over here. What is the thing that I should actually be running after for this financial piece? Because the burnout coming and you're doing all these different things. What are those opportunities that I should actually gravitate to get me closer to where I want to be financially? So I had like a come to Jesus, Seante.
Yes,
literally about 2 months ago. And it really hit me. So when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I said, she's speaking to me. I am trying my best to get out of that phase of having to be on that hunch and that catch all the time.
For sure. And I think Wealth Esteem really focuses on Black middle-class women. Not to say that anyone else can't come and learn, and I do work with other people, but what I find is that Black women, we are out here doing too much, for much, whatever you want to call it. We are, some of us are raising families, working full time, have part-time jobs, doing so many things, and we're not taking care of ourselves. And so it is a focus, just not on, when I say self-care, I'm not just talking about going to get the mani and pedi and keeping your hair done, but really taking care of ourselves, our health, our mental health, our physical health, all of those things.
That is so important. And for the longest amount of time, many of us have been, kind of taught to believe that mani pedi, even vacation stuff is self-care. Because I tell people sometimes the vacation is more work than being at home. I got to pack luggage, go through the airport, sit here. So you know what I'm saying?
And then come back and have to do all the stuff that you wasn't doing because you was on vacation, and now you feel like you need a vacation from the vacation. That really, I mean, it's great. Listen, I love to travel. It's fun. It can be fun, but you're right. That's not the only ways. And really, that's just consumerism. They're selling that to us right now is, oh, self-care, go get a massage. They call that self-care, but it's just really a marketing ploy to try to get us to spend more money. And they're always selling us something. Even when we're talking about social media is pushing us to buy, and we're looking at other people's lives saying that we're thinking that we're missing out, that FOMO or YOLO. Um, and that's not self-care. It's like, what was the over the last 3 days, what have you eaten? How is your sleep? What is your spiritual life like? All of those things, that's real self-care.
And I think that actually has a tie to our financial space as well, because I find that if I can think clear, if I can get all this stuff out of the way, I can better align to my goals. And I
Yeah.
don't think we're necessarily taught to think in that way, because all this, when you sometimes you sit down and you go through your day and you've been through all this stuff and you're like, what, wait a minute, what really matters? I remember back in the day, people always, I'm running errands. I'm like, for what? Like, what? What kind of errands are you running? And at the end of the day, what do you have from that? So me kind of rethinking my day, my time, my space gives me more freedom to think about things that really matter. And especially like in your case, even, getting more financially stable and really understanding what these budget things and these financial things actually really mean. So I want you to just give, we're not telling you to give the goal now. I just want you to give 3 tips to someone who is just thinking about budgeting. I don't know what a budget is. That was never taught to me. I've never had more than X number of dollars in my bank account. I always feel like I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, and neither one of them got no money. So I'm just broke. So I want you to just come in with 3 tips. This is someone who is just foreign to the idea of budgeting.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say, and this is really for my people, I find those are my people that are in flight, who are the ones that are really foreign to budgeting. And I know they're not probably going to like this, but it's the truth. It is really taking some time and writing down your bills. Just write down where the money is going over the month. You can look at your statements, your debit card statements. If you have credit card, look at those statements and really take an inventory of your expenses, the ones that you really have to pay, and then where the money is really going versus Starbucks versus your gas and electric bills. Let's write those things down. And then let's look to make sure that you are making enough money to cover those real expenses. And then if not, Wealth Esteem can help you talk about what we need to do to make sure that you have enough money to do it. And if not, how do we get that? And then if you do have enough money, making that shift. Because when we're talking about wealth, we're really talking about your assets minus your debt. So we want to really try to get you to having some assets, and having a budget is the foundation of that. So first we want to write things down. We want to see where our money is going, and then we want to be able to calculate, are we making enough? And if we're not, how do we get to a place where we are making enough to cover those expenses?
That's good. And this also too draws me back to kind of my upbringing. I mean, I was able to meet 3 great grandmothers, and I share this often. And she would literally take her mail envelope and she would write those bills down. She would say lights 50, gas 20, or whatever that looked like at that time. And I can always remember that, and then seeing her later like balance her checkbook. So just that little small memory is something that's big for me, because some people don't have any type of knowledge of even having that particular thing. Not saying that she had a lot of money but it was one thing that I remembered, that she did write those things down and say, well, look, I know I got this amount of money for bills. I got this, and this is what I have left over, no matter how small, but I've taken care, of
Of
those
what I
financial
need.
things. So that was something that we're writing it down, that I personally remember from my journey, and how that still sticks with me even today.
And
So
one thing I want to say too is when we think about like the food, everybody's into food prep, right? So when we're thinking about a budget, think of it like food prep. If we know how much money we need to allocate to a certain area for gas and electric or our rent or mortgage, whatever situation we're in, we can have that down every month. And almost, if you're on, depending on if you're a 9 to 5er or if you're an entrepreneur, especially for the entrepreneurs, you need to know how much money you need to make within that month to cover those expenses. But if you're a 9 to 5er, you know what that check is going to look like every 2 weeks or every month or however you're being paid. So we need to do the money prep in ahead of time, so that we can see like, okay, this is how much I need to use from this account to, or this check to put towards the bills. One thing that I teach is friction, and I am giving a little gem away, but this is I'm fine with this. Friction is having a different bank account, so like at a totally different institution where you put your savings. And usually, I like to say put that in a credit union, because a lot of credit unions don't have a lot of ATMs and a lot of ways to get to your money. Or you can do an online account like Ally or some other account where you can't get to the money quickly. And that is a great way to start saving, because if you start putting money there every month and they don't have a lot of bank accounts and you don't have a debit card to get to that money, that means you have to go. This is where the friction comes in. It makes it harder for you to get the money, and it'll make you think about, do I want to take this trip and go park and go into the bank to get this money? And that's a lot. That creates the situation of saving, because if you're in line at Walmart or Target or any of these stores where you're on your phone moving money from the savings to the checking, that's too easy to spend the money that you're trying to save, especially for those emergency funds.
Oh my God, and that's so good. And now we're in the time of TikTok shop.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's not just, it's not just the Walmart and the Targets run. It's like every time you get on TikTok, I mean, the ads are just
Temu,
there. Now,
Temu,
now listen,
Amazon.
I had to go ahead and take Temu off my phone.
Me
I
too.
had to go ahead and take it off because they would send at least 5 to 7 notifications per day. We're
Yes.
not talking about per week. We're talking about per day. They would come and do all these things. So we have so many triggers and things now where it's just you want to spend that money. They're going to be relentless with the advertising. And then
Hmm.
when you think about it, because one of the things now, like I'm getting better. But I do think I'm a slight hoarder though, Shantae. I am that type of person, like you're not gonna wear those clothes. Why you have all that stuff in there? So when you think about all this stuff that you already have and you're not using,
Yes.
and you're constantly, being basically stimulated by all of these different things, it just really makes me think about it. Because if I probably can go in there and easily get rid of several things that I should have never made the swipe, the click, whatever to even purchase it. So it's so much harder now, I think, to stay in those ranks because people have so many options to buy at the
Yes.
touch of a finger.
I had to take the credit card off of Amazon. I had to do that because I found myself someone to mention something and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Go on to Amazon and boom, I just purchased that quick. And then at the end of the month, I'm like, oh, I have to pay this off, right? Because one thing I don't carry is debt. And so I had to start, and I was like, you know what? If I remove the credit card again, creating this friction, that means that when I put something in a cart for Amazon, I have to go get the credit card, go find my purse, go put it. And sometimes by the time I do all that, it's like, you know what? I don't even need it. It's not that serious.
That is a great strategy because when you, especially if you like laying in the bed, like me, be strolling around. If I got to get up, go in there, find the purse, pull out. You're right, Sinead. This got to be a dire need if you're going to go through all of that. And sometimes we have to do those things to really help us. I mean, to say like if you create basically some hurdles. If you're going to jump over all these hurdles, you must
Really
really
want it. And if
you
you're really trying to stop, just the same way of like trying to lose weight or anything, if you're really trying to stop, that at that time, that hurdle is the time to really start asking yourself the questions, is this really important? Do I need it? All that time is going to take for you to get up to go get that purse is that little, those couple of seconds, those couple of minutes, if you got to run downstairs, get the purse, whatever, is your time to really think through, is this purchase something that I really need?
That's great. And I do want to ask you this, Shantae, when you think about, let's just say, success or maybe even purpose, can you tell me your take on what success really means for you? Because it's different for people. And I'm so happy to have this platform so that we can continue to redefine because there's so many, stigmas and all these things about what success really is. So I like for people to talk from a pure place as to what success means for them and really how they feel that they're walking their journey to success.
Yes. my purpose is kind of wrapped around wealth esteem in a sense. And it's not so much of having a business or anything, but one, it's helping people in the area that I love to work in, and and freedom. And that's freedom of time and energy and space to be able to take care of myself and to know that someone can't come in and just take that from me. That is my definition of success. And it is a journey. It's not just a destination. I think that, you know, one of the things that we do too in this American society is that we keep moving the hurdle. We accomplish something, and then next thing you know, you know what, that was good, but what if I double it? And so stopping that as well. So for me, is like just getting to a point where I am controlling my time, my energy, and where I can go. That's freedom and success.
That's beautiful because I definitely, I think, especially like with me, my career was so fast paced. I was getting a role like every year and a half or so. I was moving
Hmm.
so quickly, so I kind of had this ticker like on my head, like what's the next thing? It was always this like I've been here a little bit longer. What's the thing? And chasing, and then I got to this point. I was like, for what though?
Exactly.
I mean, it was like a clear voice. It was like, for what? Like, what you doing all that for? And you need to really, because all of these titles and stuff are changed. I mean, it'll change until the time you leave the space. What are you going to do to make sure that you are being fulfilled, that you're operating the purpose, that it just feels good for you? It does not have to match anybody else's. It does not have to be on the timeline. It does not have to be any of that. But it needs to be something that you check in daily. Say, hey, what is it? Does it feel good? Is it a part of my overall purpose? You know what I mean? So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. I want to ask you this.
Okay.
If you could talk to the 20, I'm going to say the 21-year-old Seante, I want you
Ooh.
to think a moment. I want you to really think about it. And I want you to think about the 21-year-old Seante, what she was going through, what it felt like, maybe some of the things she was dealing with, or something, maybe not the specific age, but in that range.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want you to I want you to give her a message, because sometimes we forget how far we've come. We have to think about that space that we were in, however long
Yeah.
ago. So I want you just to talk to her and just let her know what's up. You can even give her a message as to where you are now. But I want you to really think about that and talk to that 21-year-old Seante.
Yeah. 21 Shantae was actually just leaving Wilberforce. I graduated at 21. And what I would say to myself is move through fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It is not real. And allow yourself to make mistakes, because so much growth comes from the mistakes than success. Try everything. Allow yourself to try things. You don't have to go out there and just try to get the job and try to then buy the house and try to live this American dream. Try your hand at the things that really bring you joy and focus on those things and not some destination that somebody made up for you.
Oh, that is so good, because I think fear is so paralyzing. I think
Yeah.
even now, like if I'm trying something new, it tries to creep in, and I
Yeah.
have to, there's never going to be a space in life where it doesn't try to creep in, I believe, but it's about what you're going to do to push past it, because we'll have all these things that are coming. I'm not good enough, or it'll never work, or what is
Yeah.
that? Nobody else around me has ever done it. And I just encourage people to not be paralyzed from
Yeah.
that, because it can literally be. I think it's one of the strongest forces. They say love. I think fear is pretty up there
Yes.
with some of
Yes.
the strongest forces that we experience here in this human space. So we got to ask you this question, because we got to do it at the end of every show.
Okay.
So there's this person. We don't know if they male or female, but they got this one school over here, and they
Mm.
got Wilberforce University over here. And they saying, these are my top two. I don't
Ooh.
know. They say these are my top two. We got Wilberforce and we got some other school over here. And I have to make the decision today. So Shantae is going to sell Wilberforce. She's going to tell them why you got to put the other school down. and get to Wilberforce now, because it's not going to be HBCU her voice. We're not going to sell our schools.
Come
So
on.
right now, you got to tell them. You got to say, this is why you choose Wilberforce, and I'm standing on business, like the kids say.
All right, all right. So Wilberforce, Bulldogs, you should have been a Bulldog. You can be a Bulldog. And the reason why you should be a Bulldog is because we're located in Ohio. We are a small school, so that means you will know everyone. The alumni will love you. The current faculty will love you. You will walk away with success and with people behind you all across the country to support you on your journey. Wilberforce has co-op, and it gives you experiences just outside of the classroom. They want you to go out and actually get the real life experience before you graduate so that you could even have jobs lined up. I was already working before I graduated. I had jobs I was already in before I graduated. And so Wilberforce will be there to support you where you currently are now and get you to where you're going. That is Wilberforce.
Okay, I might be a little jealous. Should I have went to Wilberforce?
Come on, come on.
Had I had should have went to Wilberforce, and I've only been to Ohio like one time, and I think I was 12. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something. So thank you for that. So if you were in Ohio, if you're not in Ohio, now you know a little bit from Shantae's mouth why Wilberforce could potentially be the choice for you.
Listen, and I also got to say, Wilberforce was on the line of the Underground Railroad. Like, we got some history. Like, we got some heavy hitters. So, like, just know when we talking about HBCUs, black, you can't get no more blacker than that.
That's black, huh?
Black, black.
Real
Black.
black. Look, I love it. I love it. But Shantae, I want you to tell them where they can find you on social media. I want you to give them your website so we can include all of this in our podcast details, because they have to find you. We need to talk. I like that you talked about friction. You know, I really like some of these nuggets that's really, really can transform how you look at your money. So tell them where they can find you and how they can connect with you.
All right. So the website is buildwealthesteem.com. The IG and Facebook is Build Wealth Esteem. So real easy. What we're trying to do, we're trying to build our wealth esteem. That's where you can find me.
Beautiful. And we're just going to give you a final thought. Whatever you have for final thoughts, drop right here. And just let us know. It's been a beautiful and fabulous interview. I want you to just leave us with your final thoughts.
Yeah, so first I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the people, to be amongst our people. All HBCUs are lit. Like, no matter where you go, HBCUs that's where you should be.